and more right here on the show.
Alright, so this morning on The Breakfast Club, we focus on gig economy, the world of freelancers, content creators, startup founders, contract workers, and you know the rest of the list. The gig economy is growing at an unprecedented rate in India. According to a report by Niti Aayog, the number of gig economy workers and the platform workers in India, 7.7 million, 2021 that is, which is expected to rise to 23.5 million by 2030. Now that is a staggering growth of over 200% in just 9 years. And aren't we seeing examples of that all around us? So clearly, the gig economy is is booming as well. And so with it is coming in the art of managing finances, which are irregular. Now, how do these workers, largely young people, manage through unstable income? How do gig workers manage income fluctuations, build in safety nets, plan for the future as well? Gig workers, remember, face a unique financial challenge. Their irregular income. By that I mean there's no paycheck coming at the end of the month for sure. It will be in shorter duration, sometimes more, sometimes less as well, compared to, say, traditional employer benefits. They don't have insurance, PF, maternity. So how do they plan life?
Right, all of this includes measures such as do we need, and this is such a long discussed issue, how do we provide a safety net for gig workers? What should that look like? Do we create formal opportunities? And what we're going to be looking at today is gig workers of every kind. So right from content creators to laborers, those who are working with platforms, we're going to take a look at all of this. The need for tax rebates for households, contributing to social security deposits, all of this and more. The Code on Social Security 2020 provides for the framing of a suitable social security set of measures for gig workers and platform workers. So the concept exists. It largely covers matters like life and disability cover, accident insurance, health, old age protection and more. But what does any of that actually mean on the ground? For the worker themselves, for their families, and how can you, if you're a gig worker, right from someone who's making deliveries to someone who, and this is what we're going to be focusing on today, someone who's a content creator, for example, how can you make the most of the opportunities that exist? How can you build a stable financial future? And how can you manage your financials, save for the future, all the usual stuff, but in this form where the money is coming in irregularly. To tell us more about this, we have two guests with us here on the show. We have Anushka Rathore. She's a finance content creator. She's the author of The Money Guide. We also have Ravi Sarogi. He's the co-founder of Samastiti Advisors and a SEBI-registered investment advisor. Thank you both of you for joining us here on the show. Let's go over first very quickly to Anushka. Anushka, you have this book that's come out. It's very exciting and we'll talk about it in just a second. But what we want to focus on here is the finances behind the scenes. So tell us first a little bit about your own journey. As you became someone who was creating content, you found a new set of problems and a new set of opportunities that come along with it, right? As the collaborations grew, money started coming in. Walk us through how you planned your own life.
I think I also started with stable income. So what was a big change for me is, like you mentioned, irregular income. And, getting your paychecks month on month, not having to worry about that, to suddenly you doing the work and getting your payment sometimes 6 months, 9 months down the line. So just figuring out that way of, how I can sustain my expenses today, because all the salaries, expenses, your GST, taxes you have to pay today, but your payments are coming later. So I think the first year and a half was actually, just collecting that emergency fund and building that surplus so that I can make my payments today and at the same time, ensure that my all the expenses are paid off. And it was only like after a year and a half of being a freelancer and not having a stable income, was I in a position to even start investing. So it was first creating that emergency fund, then taking on additional expenses of my medical insurance. And then only I was able to create a corpus which was sufficient enough for me that, even if I don't get payments or work even for say 3 to 4 months, my business still continues. So yeah, but I think post that, once that emergency corpus is made, I keep replenishing it. But now all the surplus income that I'm earning usually or mostly goes towards my investments.
Oh, that's smart thinking, but Anushka knows that because she is in the world of finance. So she's been pretty smart about it. Let me go to Ravi. Ravi, for everybody watching right now, and like a statistic says, this is an industry which is growing at 200%. This is an industry where more and more young people don't want to do jobs anymore. Trust us, we try hiring and it's quite a mess, right? So we want, more and more people want to work for themselves. But do you have, say, top 3 things that they must keep in mind when you don't, say, have PF, when you don't have health insurance, when you don't have life insurance, when you don't have safety nets like these? Top 3 things that people should think about.
Yes, so I think all those points that you mentioned, Sonal, those are very, very critical. But it's also very important for gig worker, individuals to note that just because you're not working in a formal setup, you can always recreate these social security nets yourself. So, for example, you may not have access to a corporate health cover, but you can buy a personal health cover which is really good and which will protect you and your family against any health emergencies. Second, for salaried individuals, it's very normal for them to have an employee's provident fund that comes bundled in with their compensation structure. However, today we have the national pension scheme. So any individual, whether they are formally employed or part-time employed or in the gig economy, you can open your own national pension scheme and contribute towards your retirement in the future. So that option is available. The third option is that when people, are working in a salary setup, the tax planning also gets taken care of sort of by the company.
Yes.
Because every time you're getting your salary, there is a TDS deduction that happens and then you get your salary. But as a gig worker, you have to do your own tax planning, and that's really, really critical. And here I think, we have a good news for all of them in the gig economy. If you make use of tax laws judiciously, you are in a very, very advantageous position compared to somebody who is a salaried income.
Yeah.
Let's just ask, Anushka, can we ask you a little bit here for advice? So if someone is planning to take the jump, they're planning to leave a salaried job and perhaps experiment with something creative or in some form, something that belongs to the gig economy, a different kind of job. What are the basics they need to make sure they have covered? The ideal is obviously they don't leave their salaried job, they experiment on the side. But if they've decided, let's take the jump, what are the basics they need to take care of first?
I think it's not ideal that you continue with your salary job. I think sometimes taking risk can actually also have handsome rewards. And also, like, the flexibility is always welcomed and very refreshing. But what they do need to have covered is, especially if you have dependents on you, have 6 months of your survival expenses as your emergency fund. That is the basic. Already discussed, have medical insurance because with important add-ons like critical health insurance, disability cover. And this I say because today if I stop working, if something happens to me, I don't have an income. So all these add-ons will actually give me a surplus if things like that happen. This will shoot up your premiums, but we need to understand that when we go from a stable income to something which is more unstable, we do need to create our protection plans more stronger than before. So we can't compromise on the security that we are taking for ourselves and our family. So a medical insurance which is extremely comprehensive for ourselves and for our dependents is important. If your parents don't have a cover already, I know it's difficult to gather that corpus, but we also need to have a corpus where if something does happen to them, we have that emergency cover. And I think and there are some things on the positive sides as well. One very welcome thing that they will see is just do a little preliminary planning of tax, how you can manage your taxes. Despite the fact that I was, I was from the finance industry, because I always had TDS deducted, the concept of advanced tax was something that I discovered 6 months after being into being a freelancer. So I did have to end up paying a penalty. So ensure that you are aware of the rules. There are some benefits like you have Section 44 ADA for a list of professionals. where you don't have to maintain your book of accounts, and whatever your income is, just 50% of that is deemed profit and you only pay taxes on that. So those are also welcome benefits that you get. And there are certain tools like since you are paying your own taxes, HDFC Bank has a range of credit cards which give you rewards on your tax payments. So ensure that you're also researching on such tools. You can also get GST reductions for a lot of expenses that you are paying GST for, but before you were not, you could not, but now you can. You can use platforms like Make My Trip Biz, which is for business owners, for freelancers, which also give you added benefits. So research more of all the advantages, ensure that your risk is protected before you take the jump.
Oh wow, Anushka, but I have to say that while you have such great tips to give, I'm not sure how many 20-year-olds actually know this. Is this a struggle that you find around you, that not a lot of people know how to manage finances? Not a lot of women, as we know, statistics tell us, know how to manage finances. Are there any tips on how to get started? A thing there, a thing to know, but just a basic checklist of sorts?
I think, again, when different people have different things that they're navigating. So there's not a lot of, there's not a standard checklist. But what I would say is, and now now I have started working internationally. So that's also been newer for me in the sense of, how do you navigate the regulations, now how do you navigate the law? Taxation's there. So what I've understood is that you will sound dumb. And everyone sounds dumb. Me, despite knowing so much, I also have questions. I also have confusions because these things are complicated. So no matter if you are someone who's just starting, you're young, or if you're a woman and you've never had the infrastructure or opportunity to explore these things or the support to, just know that everyone is dumb. No one knows these things because they are inherently complicated. And don't be afraid to ask questions to a lot of people. If they're not supporting you, it does not matter. There are 10 more people who will be willing to help you. Just find the right help and don't take the jump without, just by trusting someone, because this is a place where you need to also be very self-informed, at least in the sense of, these are the options that I have, these are the things that can go wrong, and then take professional help wherever required to, sort out the nitty-gritties and ensure that the compliances are in place. And this, sounds a little complicated, but, at individual or beginner level, there are tools like mutual funds. If you don't know how to invest directly into the stock market, make use of these mutual funds where you are getting professional help to manage your balances.
I like how Ravi is smiling through all of this.
Because I'm hoping
people are dumb. He's saying, more clients, come on, we'll help you out.
Ravi, tell us about exactly that. Tell us a little bit. As an advisor, you're working with families, you're also working with individuals. Walk us through, in the last few years, I'm assuming gig workers, especially through COVID, that concept became a much bigger thing. What are some of the stories you've seen, examples of clients you've seen who've come forward to you, asked you to help them restructure? Tell us a little bit there.
Yeah, so there are two, trends that we are seeing post-COVID and a little pre-COVID, so to speak, when the market started doing really well. A lot of individuals, for example, work with the US IT industry, which also has done really, really well. So we have had many individuals actually, make a good amount of money over a short period of time. And for the first time, they are actually contemplating whether I need to continue to work or can I do something else, right? Now, and a lot of people have actually taken the plunge, where they want to start a second innings, and that's the framework for that is the gig economy. So they are not taking up full-time jobs, but they're either becoming solopreneurs or entrepreneurs themselves. And here, I think, one very critical thing for people to understand is that as a solopreneur or as an entrepreneur, as a gig economy worker, you will have enough things on your plate. You are trying to build something from scratch, follow your hobby. It's very, very important to take professional help. It's important to have a tax advisor. You can, of course, yourself break your head, like my co-panelist mentioned about presumptive taxation rules. And, I think her background really helped her in cracking all of these tax laws herself. But it may not be the case for everyone. You should get access to a professional tax advisor who can really help you minimize your tax liability. My co-panelists mentioned that there are options under the income tax rule where you can set off 50% of your earnings as expenses. Not many people are aware of that, and you need to examine the rules clearly to see whether the activity that you're engaged in allows you to take benefit of that clause or not. So the advice is to actually seek out a professional tax advice. Second, with respect to investments as well, we are seeing today people willing to pay for different kinds of services. Like, for example, people hire an executive coach to bring out the best in themselves. People hire a nutritionist to become more healthy. People have trainers at gyms. So we are slowly moving to a framework where people are warming up to the concept of paying for service. So from paying for goods, which is of course very normal, we are moving into a paying for service kind of a framework as well. And I think here people should also explore working with an investment advisor who can help you plan your investments. And I think this is really important because it allows you to focus on your core activity, core business, and really leave the rest to the professionals.
Right. I like on this discussion how we've had a spectrum from somebody who went to being a gig worker to somebody who's saying that, listen, don't listen to influencers, come to financial advisors, they'll give you the best advice. We've got a full spectrum here, but thank you both for joining us. I think the key takeaway here is also that I like what Ravi said in the beginning, that if you don't have a professional setup, then create that. Create those little kitties and buckets for yourself, preempting that this is where it's going to land you up. So that's good advice to actually go to. On that note, we are going to go to stories that are coming in from India and across the globe. These are the wraps.
All right, first up, Union Food Minister Prahlad Joshi launching a 1,000 crore credit guarantee scheme. This is to help farmers easily access post-harvest loans by leveraging electronic warehouse receipts. The scheme aims to reduce banks' reluctance to lend against electronic negotiable warehouse receipts issued by the Warehousing Development and Regulatory Authority registered repositories.
India's private sector ended 2024 on a robust footing, with the HSBC Flash India Composite Output Index rising to 60.7 in December, up from 58.6 in November. This marks the strongest expansion since August of 2024, according to the HSBC data compiled by S&P Global.
And government data is showing that India's wholesale price index in November eased to a 3-month low of 1.89%. This is as prices of food items, especially that of vegetables, has fallen. WPI was 2.36% in October. It stood at 0.39% in November last year.
India has seen a record smartphone exports in November this year, surpassing the Rupees 20,000 crore mark for the first time in a month, which was led by Apple. According to the industry data, smartphone exports crossed the 20,300 crore rupees, a more than 90% rise from the same period last year. Apple led the exports last month, followed by Samsung.
The Rajya Sabha was informed that the Union Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry has disbursed multiple loans amounting to a total of 13,422 crores to street vendors. This is under the Prime Minister Swarnidhi scheme till December 8th. In a written reply to a question, the Ministry of State for Housing and Urban Affairs said that out of the loans given out, most have been repaid by street vendor beneficiaries.
Around 73 lakh smart prepaid meters have been installed across the country till November, according to the official data, which has showed nil installations in 11 states and 2 union territories. As per the data shared in the Parliament on Monday, around 7.3 million smart prepaid meters have been installed till November 29 in various states under the RDSS scheme. All right, on that note, we're going to slip into a break, but like we promised, we will talk everything to do with the weather. Kitna pollution hai, kitni sardi padne wali hai, kab padne wali hai. We'll tell you all of that on the other side of this very quick break.
खुद को
जो अत्याचार हो रहा है माइनॉरिटीज पे, जो बांग्लादेश के हिंदू हैं, बांग्लादेश के ईसाई हैं, उसके बारे में कुछ करें, बात करें बांग्लादेश की सरकार के साथ, अत्याचार बंद कराएं।
देखिए, वो इंदिरा गांधी की पोती है, जवाहरलाल की परनातनी है, तो वो कुछ भी कर सकती हैं। उनको फिलिस्तीनी से प्रेम है, पाकिस्तानी से प्रेम है, बांग्लादेश से प्रेम है, उनको हिंदुस्तान से प्रेम नहीं।
अब राजनीति में बैग से राजनीति होगी, बैग से देश चलेगा, यही दुखद है। अब बैगवा तो हम लेके चला, कोनो बैग तो ही नहीं, तो हम भी भगवा पहन लें। अब इसे तो देश ना चली, देश चलता तर्क वितर्क करने से, विचारों से, विजन से। बैग से देश चलने लगा, बैग से क्या संदेश है हमको ये समझ में नहीं आता। अब वो जमाना गया है कि बैग दिखाएं और टोपा दिखाएं और टोपी दिखाएं, उससे नहीं चली। देश अब मोदी जी ने बातों से, कर्मों से, कार्यों से, ईमानदारी से, विजन से, दूरदृष्टा सोच से देश चलेगा। इकोनॉमी को स्ट्रांग करना है, बैग से देश नहीं चलता भैया।
ये प्रियंका वाड्रा का टोट बैग नहीं, ये प्रियंका वाड्रा का सिंबॉलिक वोट बैग है। एक नया बैग निकला है, माइनॉरिटीज ऑफ बांग्लादेश। अरे वाह प्रियंका जी, जरा बताइए ये माइनॉरिटीज कौन है, जरा नाम लेकर बताते ना। हिंदूज, वैसे तो आप बोलते रहते हैं पूरे देश में कि मुस्लिम्स आर अंडर थ्रेट, इस्लामोफोबिया है। यहाँ तो आइडेंटिफाई हो जाता है विक्टिम आपका, वहां पे विक्टिम आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हो रहा है आपका। बांग्लादेश में माइनॉरिटीज आर अंडर थ्रेट, वी स्टैंड विद माइनॉरिटीज, व्हाई नॉट से दैट यू स्टैंड विद हिंदू। साफ साफ क्यों नहीं बोलते? व्हाइट वॉशिंग का बैग है ये सिंबोलिज्म और टोकनिज्म की निशानी है ये। और सवाल ये बनता है कि माइनॉरिटीज और बांग्लादेश की चिंता आज कर रही हैं। सीए लॉ विरोध किसने किया? सीए लॉ जिसका पूरा लक्ष्य था कि ऐसे प्रताड़ित लोगों को सुरक्षा दी जाए, उसका विरोध करने के लिए एक बैग कैरी कीजिए कि हम माफी मांगते हैं कि सीए का विरोध किया।
Well, what's there in a bag? Plenty if it's making a political point. That's exactly what Priyanka Gandhi Vadra did on day 2, when this time round she carried a bag saying that the minorities in Bangladesh need to be protected. She was of course referring to both the Hindus as well as the Christians. Remember when she carried an earlier bag on Palestine that had evoked a sharp response from the BJP, where they asked her this question that you're feeling very strongly for the Palestinians because of your vote bank politics. But what about the minorities being attacked in Bangladesh? At that point of time, she had rebutted by saying that I will wear what I want to. This is a deep-seated mindset of patriarchy where men will dictate to a woman what she wants to wear. Well, on day 2, she made that political point and tried to rebut the BJP in her own way by carrying a bag. It's a cloth bag. It also very clearly says that save the minorities of Bangladesh. With this, she hopes to silence her critics in the BJP and some outside as well, who indeed were asking that why is the Congress party making a mistake yet again as far as minority appeasement profile which is being projected. This question was also being asked that while you may feel strongly about the Palestinians, equal voice should have been raised and that show of solidarity should have taken place as far as the minorities in Bangladesh is concerned. Well, she did it, and in fact the Congress party has flaunted it. But interestingly, on the same day when she carried that pro-Bangladesh minority bag, the Congress also protested at the Makar Dwar. This was a decision which was taken at a meeting of the Congress party that we are going to rebut the BJP. At the meeting it was decided, and therefore you saw several Congress MPs carry a similar bag and also shouting slogans that why is the government not doing enough to protect the minorities of Bangladesh. Bags and women are identified. Many ask this question that why is a woman grudged her bag? But women politicians and bags have often evoked a
Welcome back. You're watching The Breakfast Club and it's time to take a look at the pollution meter. No good news there. The past couple of days, Delhi has been in the severe category. That means GRAP 4 is in place. That means restrictions are here. But sadly, one day of GRAP 4 hasn't seen to have any impact on the numbers just yet. Talking about numbers, let's go to Toya.
Okay, so let's take a look very quickly first at what the average is coming into. So Delhi's got 421. We're back in the severe category. It's almost feeling as if we've gone a few weeks backwards. What is different though this time obviously is that the temperatures are also plummeting. And we'll talk a little bit more about the temperatures later on in the show in just a few minutes from now. But let's check in on the exact numbers we're getting coming in from the entire city. First, here's an overview. Largely reds and purples, as you can see, which means that we're largely in the hazardous and the very unhealthy category all the way back again. Now, if we just take a look at some of the numbers, let's look at the numbers for a second. You've got a lot of 400s coming in. And when you just take a look at parts of Delhi, so Parparganj, which falls right in between Delhi and Noida, you've got a 408 coming in. Unfortunately, that's not the highest you've got coming in by any margin. You've got a 473 coming in from North Delhi. ITI Jahangirpuri has got particularly high numbers. When you take a look at Noida, Noida is luckily a little better. So 220 back to the purple, a little bit better than what we're seeing in parts of Delhi. And if you just go down, so if you take a look, for example, at these areas, so the greener parts of Delhi, central and south Delhi, where you have the green lungs, RK Puram 394, a little bit better than the 400s we were talking about, but not much better, unfortunately. And then if you just check in all the way down south, we take you to Gurgaon, for example, 274. So in that sense, Gurgaon comparable to the numbers you've got coming in from Noida. Today, the pollution will largely remain, as you can see, in this area, which is the Delhi region. You've got that pattern showing up here on the maps. But the entire region, the entire NCR region, as you can see, slipping back into the very unhealthy and the hazardous. So unfortunate news there for those in the Delhi NCR region, really.
Yeah. So what seems to be happening here is that the temperatures have dipped further, which makes the air more, not very favorable for AQI. Also, the wind speed has come down, which is again making it really bad this time of the year. So we really wait to see what's going to happen. And hopefully, GRAP 4 measures are going to be a bit of a breather over there. All right, talking about AQI and talking about the weather, the thing on everybody's mind apart from AQI is actually the winter chill. Winter is here, Delhi ki sardi is here, but this year it's a little different, isn't it?
Right, so the temperature has plummeted in the last 48 hours in particular. Is this cold snap here to stay? That's the big question. Will it change?
La Lina, we told you about that earlier as well. Will that play a role this winter? How cold will Christmas be? How cold will New Year's be? Will we really get to party outside?
Right, what about the predictions for the rest of the month? Shrishti has, as usual, all of our answers on this. So let's go over to her to understand more. Shrishti, such a question that comes out to every Delhiite's mind around this time, and I want to take this discussion to all of North India. We won't just stay to Delhi, but all of us Northerners, anytime the weather shifts to this winter pattern, we go, this time how cold will the winter be? Will it be colder than the cold we've seen in the years past? Will it be a long cold? Will it be a short cold? What are the numbers telling you right now?
Yes, good morning Toya and Sonal. So yes, we are in the middle of the winter season now, and so this year what happened was that the cold waves began a little earlier than usual. So if you remember, the cold waves started sweeping North India around 10th of December, and even Delhi, the temperatures really plummeted to around 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. So definitely I would say that it's colder than last December, and latest forecast suggests that the temperatures are going to plummet over the next few days also. So this cold is here to stay. This winter season from December to February, but it really hits its peak in January. So that is the time when we are going to see extremely foggy conditions and cold waves. As of now, we have seen sub-zero temperatures in the hills. That includes Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, as well as Uttarakhand. While in the plains, it's, the minimum temperatures are about from 0 to 6 degrees Celsius. While days are still better, the temperatures are around 20 to 23 degrees Celsius. But yes, it's definitely colder than last December so far.
Right. So, Shrishti, would it be fair to say that winter this time will be for a shorter duration but be more intense, or are we looking at a longer winter spell?
Sonal, what's happening over the years is that we are witnessing the impacts of global warming. So the winters are not as cold as they were a couple of years back. And we see those impacts especially in the first 2 weeks of December, which are not as cold. Yes, the impacts do show that the temperatures are slightly warmer than before, but it depends upon the current meteorological conditions. So if you remember, around 10th or 11th of December, we had a rain spell and snowfall in the hills, which really plummeted the minimum temperatures here. And this year we are also talking about the impacts of this global ocean phenomena called La Nina, which could have its impact on winters in India, especially in January, which is when it's likely to set in.
Okay, Shrishti, we'll just check if we're out of time here, because we both have so many questions on this entire story. Can you just tell us one more thing? When it comes to the winters, it's really in January that Delhiites are like, ye nahi ho payega mujhse. Most of the NCR and the northern plains are really like, this is when it's hit its peak. Do we have any numbers that can tell us, whereas if the lowest temperatures in this case, the coldest temperatures that we'll see this year will be colder than the years past? Can we predict that right now, or is it too early?
It's a bit too early, but what happens is that the India Met Department, comes out with a seasonal outlook for December, January and February. So this time they said that it's definitely going to be cold, but it's not going to be severely cold, because they were really counting their hopes on La Nina, So when La Nina sets in, it brings really severe cold conditions over India. This time it really didn't set in. The global forecast, it really went off mark. Now they're saying that there's a 60% chance it will set by December end or January, initial weeks of January, and that is when we are going to really see the impact. The weather department has predicted fewer cold wave days this year, but like we know, over the last few days, what we are seeing is really intense cold conditions. This time the fog has also set in a little too early. Even now, if you see across Delhi NCR, it's enveloped in dense fog conditions, and it's really cold during the day and especially during the night. Not just cold waves, even cold days are also being recorded in places like Madhya Pradesh and in Rajasthan.
Right. So, I mean, good news there for especially those who are homeless and on the streets, that it's not going to be very intense. I think that's the good takeaway here. But Shrishti, we want to know, what about Christmas Eve and New Year's? Are we going to be able to stay outdoors? What's the prediction? Please tell us it's not going to rain.
Well, I would just say that if you are in Delhi NCR, you might, want to rethink that decision of, planning an outdoor party, because it's really smoggy out there. And, so with winter, what happens is that, it also really aggravates the pollution here in Delhi. So it's already, like we just talked about, how the air quality is really severe. On the weather side, the Met Department has said that the cold waves are likely to continue at least till 23rd of December. But this forecast gets revised every day. So what we are expecting is that on 25th also it's going to be really cold. We are expecting a fall in minimum temperatures at least 2 to 3 degrees Celsius over the next few days. So we can predict for at least the next week, and then obviously the weather will be revised. But I would suggest that it's really going to be cold, and we might really want to think about the outdoor
parties. What is that?
But a good takeaway, to tell our TBC family, everyone watching, we're telling you now, we're telling you a week before that clad up if you can, stay indoors if that's a choice that you can make, especially because of the smog. That was an important point. It's not just the fog itself. So a prediction there, and also a prediction for January. It's not going to be as cold as the other years, but it is in the next 3 months the point at which we're going to be seeing the coldest temperatures inside the entire northern plains. So we're not just telling you about Delhi.
All right, on that note, thank you, Shrishti, for joining us. We're going to slip into another break. Coming up on the other side, we make you meet with one of the faces that have taken the OTT and cinema by storm. This is Tanya Mantala. She is killing it, quite literally. She's also, you'll remember her, played a very, very important role in The Suitable Boy. So what happens when you actually start your career with Meera Nair? Where does it go forward from there? We sit down for a chat with her.
जो अत्याचार हो रहा है माइनॉरिटीज पे, जो बांग्लादेश के हिंदू हैं, बांग्लादेश के ईसाई हैं, उसके बारे में कुछ करें, बात करें बांग्लादेश की सरकार के साथ, अत्याचार बंद कराएं।
देखिए, वो इंदिरा गांधी की पोती है, जवाहरलाल की परनातनी है, तो वो कुछ भी कर सकती हैं। उनको फिलिस्तीनी से प्रेम है, पाकिस्तानी से प्रेम है, बांग्लादेश से प्रेम है, उनको हिंदुस्तान से प्रेम नहीं।
अब राजनीति में बैग से राजनीति होगी, बैग से देश चलेगा, यही दुखद है। अब बैगवा तो हम लेके चला, कोनो बैग तो ही नहीं, तो हम भी भगवा पहन लेंगे। अब इसे तो देश ना चली, देश चलता तर्क वितर्क करने से, विचारों से, विजन से। बैग से देश चलने लगा, बैग से क्या संदेश है हमको ये समझ में नहीं आता। अब वो जमाना गया है कि बैग दिखाएं और टोपा दिखाएं और टोपी दिखाएं, उससे नहीं चली। देश अब मोदी जी ने बातों से, कर्मों से, कार्यों से, ईमानदारी से, विजन से, दूरदृष्टा सोच से देश चलेगा। इकोनॉमी को स्ट्रांग करना है, बैग से देश नहीं चलता भैया।
ये प्रियंका वाड्रा का टोट बैग नहीं, ये प्रियंका वाड्रा का सिंबॉलिक वोट बैग है। एक नया बैग निकला है माइनॉरिटीज ऑफ बांग्लादेश। अरे वाह प्रियंका जी, जरा बताइए ये माइनॉरिटीज कौन है, जरा नाम लेकर बताते ना। हिंदूज, वैसे तो आप बोलते रहते हैं पूरे देश में कि मुस्लिम्स आर अंडर थ्रेट, इस्लामोफोबिया है। यहाँ तो आइडेंटिफाई हो जाता है विक्टिम आपका, वहां पे विक्टिम आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हो रहा है आपका। बांग्लादेश में माइनॉरिटीज आर अंडर थ्रेट, वी स्टैंड विद माइनॉरिटीज, व्हाई नॉट से दैट यू स्टैंड विद हिंदू। साफ साफ क्यों नहीं बोलते? व्हाइट वॉशिंग का बैग है ये सिंबोलिज्म और टोकनिज्म की निशानी है ये। और सवाल ये बनता है कि माइनॉरिटीज और बांग्लादेश की चिंता आज कर रही हैं। सीए लॉ विरोध किसने किया? सीए लॉ जिसका पूरा का पूरा लक्ष्य था कि ऐसे प्रताड़ित लोगों को सुरक्षा दी जाए, उसका विरोध करने के लिए एक बैग कैरी कीजिए कि हम माफी मांगते हैं कि सीए का विरोध किया।
Well, what's there in a bag? Plenty if it's making a political point. That's exactly what Priyanka Gandhi Vadra did on day 2, when this time round she carried a bag saying that the minorities in Bangladesh need to be protected. She was of course referring to both the Hindus as well as the Christians. Remember when she carried an earlier bag on Palestine that had evoked a sharp response from the BJP, where they asked her this question that you're feeling very strongly for the Palestinians because of your vote bank politics. But what about the minorities being attacked in Bangladesh? At that point of time, she had rebutted by saying that I will wear what I want to. This is a deep-seated mindset of patriarchy where men will dictate to a woman what she wants to wear. Well, on day 2, she made that political point and tried to rebut the BJP in her own way by carrying a bag. It's a cloth bag. It also very clearly says that save the minorities of Bangladesh. With this, she hopes to silence her critics in the BJP and some outside as well, who indeed were asking that why is the Congress party making a mistake yet again as far as minority appeasement profile which is being projected. This question
Okay, it's time now for our person of interest. We are going to make you meet here on the show Tanya Maniktala. She's the rising star of India's entertainment industry with a slew of critically acclaimed roles under her belt. Tanya's proving to be a force to be reckoned with. We all remember her, and this is really where she stood out with her breakout role in Meera Nair's A Suitable Boy. Her face staying in all of our minds. It's that one face that comes to you when you think of that film. But she also has a recent stint in the film Kill.
Yeah, Tanya has consistently impressed audiences with her talent and versatility. But there's more to Tanya, more than just her acting chops. In the recent interview, she revealed about her fitness journey, what she thinks about that as well. So we thought let's bring her on the program and ask her for ourselves that what exactly is going on. So let's welcome on the program. Hi, good morning, Tanya. How are you doing? Hi Tanya, lovely to have you here on TBC. We have to start by saying this. We all loved watching you as Lata in The Suitable Boy. But when somebody, a young person, starts their career with Meera Nair, where does the career really go from there? With that as the first stepping stone.
I think as we all say that it's only onwards and upwards. So Meera Di really spoiled me for choices over there. But actually, my first ever project was for a YouTube series. It's called Flames, and Flames is now with Prime and 3 seasons running. But at that time, there was only the first season that I'd ever done, like my first ever camera work, and that was for YouTube. And then the next thing that I've ever happened to do was Suitable Boy. So yeah, I just hope that I can follow up with my other projects in that lead, and I really do hope to go onwards and upwards.
And we hope you will. I mistakenly called it a film, but I actually loved the TV show and we were hanging on to each episode. Tell us, you're a Delhi girl. Adapting to Lata in A Suitable Boy, was that a big leap for you?
Actually, I did not have to do anything. So I grew up in a joint family, and I remember my first ever meeting with Meera Di was also just us discussing my family. She wanted to know what my background was, like the kind of people I had been brought up with, and when I was trying to prep for the role, because obviously there was a period shift, there was a different city that we were in. The Mehta family was from. So I thought that I had to keep a lot of things in mind, but the only thing that she ever told me was to just be myself. And she would tell me that, Tanya, you are Lata, you have it, don't change a single thing. So I don't know how that happened, but yeah, Lata has been very, very close to me from the very beginning then. I have known her without even knowing her.
How nice. It does show on camera as well. But let's move on from Suitable Boy for a little bit and let's talk about what you're doing next. Are you picky now in terms of projects that you choose?
Absolutely. I think earlier on, when there was a lack of confidence, when there was a lack of belief in myself, there was always when you are acting from a place of lack, it's a very different personality altogether to now where I want to really hone in on my craft and I really want to showcase what my skills are. So I have been picky. Earlier on, I would work with the mentality ki jo bhi aa raha hai, say yes, Tanya, it's okay, work. Which is also great, I think, because you're learning on the job. But now I think I stretched myself too wide. So now I've come back to my roots. I'm trying to center myself. And I'm trying to be a lot more, I won't say picky, but I'm like trying to be a lot more conscious of the choices I'm making.
Yeah.
So I know that maybe I do not have my entire skill set that I'm going to have in the years to come right now. So I'm trying to hone in on a particular one right now, showcase what I'm good at, and then take it from there.
Tanya, what's a dream project for you?
See, I used to say that if I start taking names, then like Meera Nair could also say that, this could be my dream. This would be my dream actor to work with. She wouldn't have ever worked with me in that case because I was coming from nothing. So I think miracles happen, and that's what I am hoping for, that people who genuinely love cinema, love storytelling, I would want to collaborate with those people. But if I did have to name a few directors that I've always looked up to, it would definitely be Meera Di. I would love to re-collaborate with her. Sanjay Leela Bhansali sir, I think I admire his work so much, and I feel like I would want to fit into his world and his vision. And then there's obviously the likes of Vikramaditya Motwane sir, and there's so many, Karan Johar sir, and I think there's no dearth of names. So yeah.
All right. Manifesting all of those names here on the program. But this is the Breakfast Club that you are in, Tanya. So we have to know about your morning routine. Take us through how you start your day.
I don't know what millennials are doing, but what I am doing in the morning is actually really struggling to wake up and get out of bed, number one. And then usually I do have a very bad habit that I'll get on my phone, but it's not Instagram that I check. The number one thing I would check is my emails. So I would get on my phone, scroll through my emails, then get on YouTube, start playing music, and that is how I start my mornings. Then once I've freshened up and everything, then I like to sit and meditate for a bit, and then get on with my day.
The checking emails part is I'm not sure how many millennials are doing that, which is why I love it. But tell us a little bit about your beauty routine too, please.
Oh my, I am doing everything wrong, I would say. I eat very unhealthy food, but I'm trying to get better. But I do believe that what you put on the inside shows on the outside. So I'm trying to be much more conscious of what I'm putting on the inside. And also exercise, I think, just helps me stay in a better mood. And the post-workout glow, I think, is real. So that I like to do. And uske alawa, I have always been a very ghar ke uplan wagera. So my mom is always preparing something, and whatever she's preparing, I would put on my face.
Okay, so Tanya, we got to know about your morning routine, breakfast routine, types of movies you're choosing, but very interesting background. You come from Janakpuri, right? And this is the big family that you're part of. Was acting always the goal? Is there anybody related in the family who's in the showbiz? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I grew up in a joint family, like I had mentioned, and I have 3 other siblings. So I have two, like one older sister, one older brother, and one younger brother as well. So out of the lot, I was actually always the one who was the quietest and the most shy person. I would quietly sit in a corner. I would let the 3 of them do whatever they wanted to do, and just be cheering from, I think, the sidelines. That is what I've always been like. And till date, I think if you make the 4 of us sit together, I would still be the same. But that being said, I think during my graduation, my youngest brother, like my younger one, actually moved out first, and then my older siblings also moved out. So it kind of left me here in a tandem. Like, I don't know who I am without these 3 people. So my sister would push me to get out of my comfort zone, and my sister and I have always celebrated this ritual of watching movies and plays together. We have loved cinema and we have worshipped cinema. So she would push me to do more, to get out more. So that's kind of how my love for not just watching the performative arts, but also kind of participating in it began. And yeah, so that is how acting started for me. I fell in love with watching theatre first, and then performing and participating in it.
How lovely. Tanya, before we let you go, you're obviously a recognized face now. You're a face people know. But just to leave on a note of inspiration, tell us about the years of struggle before you got that first gig.
Surprisingly, the first thing that I ever landed up doing, which was Flames, was while I was in college, and I started doing theatre when I was in college. So the Delhi University's theatre circuit would happen, and that is how I was spotted actually while I was performing, and they asked me to come in for an audition. And I said no because I was very hesitant. Like, no, I enjoy this particular area of acting. I don't know if I'll be good in front of the camera. And my sister was the one who dragged me to the audition. So she took me to the audition. I somehow landed up the job. And yeah, that's how Flames happened. But post Flames, nothing happened for a very long time. Then finished graduation and kept auditioning for a lot of things. Always Didi with the camera, recording my self-tests and everything. But nothing happened. Nothing worked out during that time. And then when I had completely given up on the thought of wanting to be an actor, and I started working as a copywriter actually, when one of my friends from the theatre circuit called me that there is an audition happening here and I think maybe you could be good for the part, but you'll have to audition, so if you'd come. That happened to be for a suitable boy, and yeah, then the journey started.
Wow, rest is history, as they say. Thank you, Tanya, for joining us and for sharing your story with us, and good luck with whatever you do next. All right, on that note, it's time to move on now and bring you a special segment on the financial markets. All right, next we bring you a special segment on the financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Let's start with how markets are pegged to open this morning. Now, GIFT Nifty indicates a muted opening for the Indian stock markets. Asian markets were lower amid caution before the US Fed policy outcome. US equity indices ended down as investors await Fed decision. Oil prices were trading lower on worries of supply glut in 2025.
And now let's take a look at sectors. The global auto market appears to be slowing down, casting a shadow on the outlook for auto component companies. The domestic outlook for commercial and passenger vehicles and, of course, other user industries has, as we speak, turned cautious. Component exporters point to what they say is weak demand in overseas auto markets. However, earnings have benefited from a favorable revenue mix and lower material costs. You can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's automobile sector and, of course, various other actionable insights on the markets. It's the premier destination for all investing views and financial insights that you're ever going to need. Brought to you by Money Control.
Okay, on a quick programming note, India, it's that time of the year again, and the Indian of the Year awards are back. This is your chance to celebrate the visionaries and icons making India proud, from trailblazing business leaders to inspiring youth icons, entertainers, sport legends and change makers. These incredible individuals have left their mark, inspiring millions worldwide.
Show us your support by voting for your favorite Indian. This is at www.indianoftheyear.com. Let's honor India's pride, the world's inspiration. This is RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents CNN News 18's Indian of the Year 2024. All right, and with that, we draw our show to a close. It's been a Wednesday morning that I hope for you has been full of learning about the winters, about how to save if you're deciding to take a creative shift in your career. It's been an action-packed show.
Yeah, how to create that emergency fund, and the morning routine that Tanya spoke about, clearly doesn't apply to us. But
none of these are applying to us.
None of these don't apply to us. But hopefully, we are able to make something out of it and add a little bit of spice to your mornings. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
जो अत्याचार हो रहा है माइनॉरिटीज पे, जो बांग्लादेश के हिंदू हैं, बांग्लादेश के ईसाई हैं, उसके बारे में कुछ करें, बात करें बांग्लादेश की सरकार के साथ, अत्याचार बंद कराएं।
देखिए, वो इंदिरा गांधी की पोती है, जवाहरलाल की परनातनी है, तो वो कुछ भी कर सकती हैं। उनको फिलिस्तीनी से प्रेम है, पाकिस्तानी से प्रेम है, बांग्लादेश से प्रेम है, उनको हिंदुस्तान से प्रेम नहीं।
अब राजनीति में बैग से राजनीति होगी, बैग से देश चलेगा, यही दुखद है। अब बैगवा तो हमहू लेके चला, कोनो बैग तो ही नहीं तो हम भी भगवा पहन लेंगे। अब इसे तो देश ना चली, देश चलता तर्क वितर्क करने से, विचारों से, विजन से। बैग से देश चलने लगा, बैग से क्या संदेश है हमको ये समझ में नहीं आता। अब वो जमाना गया है कि बैग दिखाएं और टोपा दिखाएं और टोपी दिखाएं, उससे नहीं चली। देश अब मोदी जी ने बातों से, कर्मों से, कार्यों से, ईमानदारी से, विजन से, दूरदृष्टा सोच से देश चलेगा। इकोनॉमी को स्ट्रांग करना है, बैग से देश नहीं चलता भैया।
ये प्रियंका वाड्रा का टोट बैग नहीं, ये प्रियंका वाड्रा का सिंबॉलिक वोट बैग है। एक नया बैग निकला है, माइनॉरिटीज ऑफ बांग्लादेश। अरे वाह प्रियंका जी, जरा बताइए ये माइनॉरिटीज कौन है, जरा नाम लेकर बताते ना। हिंदूज, वैसे तो आप बोलते रहते हैं पूरे देश में कि मुस्लिम्स आर अंडर थ्रेट, इस्लामोफोबिया है। यहाँ तो आइडेंटिफाई हो जाता है विक्टिम आपका, वहां पे विक्टिम आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हो रहा है आपका। बांग्लादेश में माइनॉरिटीज आर अंडर थ्रेट, वी स्टैंड विद माइनॉरिटीज। व्हाई नॉट से दैट यू स्टैंड विद हिंदू? साफ साफ क्यों नहीं बोलते? व्हाइट वॉशिंग का बैग है ये सिंबोलिज्म और टोकनिज्म की निशानी है ये। और सवाल ये बनता है कि माइनॉरिटीज और बांग्लादेश की चिंता आज कर रही हैं। सीए लॉ विरोध किसने किया? सीए लॉ जिसका पूरा का पूरा लक्ष्य था कि ऐसे प्रताड़ित लोगों को सुरक्षा दी जाए, उसका विरोध करने के लिए एक बैग कैरी कीजिए कि हम माफी मांगते हैं कि सीए का विरोध किया।
Well, what's there in a bag? Plenty if it's making a political point. That's exactly what Priyanka Gandhi Vadra did on day 2 when this time round she carried a bag saying that the minorities in Bangladesh need to be protected. She was of course referring to both the Hindus as well as the Christians. Remember when she carried an earlier bag on Palestine that had evoked a sharp response from the BJP where they asked her this question that you're feeling very strongly for the Palestinians because of your vote bank politics. But what about the minorities being attacked in Bangladesh? At that point of time, she had rebutted by saying that I will wear what I want to. This is a deep-seated mindset of patriarchy where men will dictate to a woman what she wants to wear. Well, on day 2, she made that political point and tried to rebut the BJP in her own way by carrying a bag. It's a cloth bag. It also very clearly says that save the minorities of Bangladesh. With this, she hopes to silence her critics in the BJP and some outside as well who indeed were asking that why is the Congress party making a mistake yet again as far as minority appeasement profile which is being projected. This question was also being asked that while you may feel strongly about the Palestinians, equal voice should have been raised and that show of solidarity should have taken place as far as the minorities in Bangladesh is concerned. Well, she did it, and in fact the Congress party has flaunted it. But interestingly, on the same day when she carried that pro-Bangladesh minority bag, the Congress also protested at the Makar Dwar. This was a decision which was taken at a meeting of the Congress party that we are going to rebut the BJP. At the meeting it was decided and
Hello and good morning. Thank you for tuning into CNN News 18. I'm Shen Elizabeth Matthew. Let's begin this bulletin with the top story this hour, which is coming in from the Parliament. Now, the Congress has criticized Home Minister Amit Shah over his remark on B.R. Ambedkar in Parliament during the Samvidhan debate. Now, the opposition has accused Home Minister Amit Shah of insulting Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Amit Shah, in his address in Rajya Sabha, had lashed out at the Congress and said that it had become a fashion for the party to take Ambedkar's name. The Home Minister said that while the BJP is happy that the Congress is taking Ambedkar's name, but the party should also speak about how its real sentiments towards him. Now, Rahul Gandhi, leading opposition's charge, has said that the fans of Manusmriti hate Ambedkar. The BJP has hit back at the opposition and accused them of spreading lies. The BJP adds that the Home Minister Amit Shah's statement exposes the Congress's hatred towards Ambedkar and the Dalit community. All right, I'm now joined by my colleague Payal Mehta on this. Payal, there is a war of words that has escalated over the remark that was made by Amit Shah. What is really the response that is coming in from the BJP at this point over the allegations that are being made by the Congress party?
To begin with, the BJP, Sharon, has been saying that the party which has denied B.R. Ambedkar and all the other stalwarts their rights should not be preaching to the BJP what the BJP should really be saying. What Amit Shah has said is a matter of record, and that's the reason he also had arguments at multiple levels with Jairam Ramesh and also with the Congress President, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. In fact, to an